Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another installment in MediaPost webinar series. I'm Mike Winkleman, Content Director for Bespoke by MediaPost, and we have a great presentation for you all today put together by our friends at Intent IQ. MediaPost webinars bring together the media, marketing, and advertising community to learn more about the methodologies and technologies that make effective business possible across a variety of categories, brought to you by our industry's top solutions providers, marketers, and practitioners. Introducing today's webinar will be Roy Shiketti, Intent IQ's chairman. He'll be joined by Dror Ben Yishai, the company's CTO. Today's presentation will provide a guide to increasing cookieless inventory revenue by 3 times using bid enhancement. As you'll see, IdentIQ's Identity Device Graph offers a suite of solutions specifically designed for the post-third-party cookie era, enabling cross-app, cross-site, and cross-device targeting and attribution in a privacy-friendly environment. Roy and Dror will explain how their technology works and how top-tier ad space sellers have used it to monetize their traffic. Before we get started, just a reminder, after the presentation, we'll have a little bit of time for a Q&A session. You can submit your questions at any time during the presentation in the question box that you can find on the GoToWebinar interface on the side of your screen. With that, let's bring in Roy to get things going. Roy, take it away.
Michael, thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are excited having you here. As Michael mentioned, today we'll be discussing how the IntentIQ bid enhancement service can be used to increase cookieless inventory revenue by 3x. And this is today on cookieless browsers such as Safari and others. The fact that we're doing it today makes it clear that we could also be doing it in the future once Chrome deprecates third-party cookies as well. Flo, can you please move to the next slide? Just a few words about who we are. I'm the chairman of IntentIQ, but I'm also the CEO of the parent company, the Amonet Group, which IntentIQ is a subsidiary of. Another subsidiary of ours is Daytonics. You might be familiar with Daytonics. It's one of the leading independent data marketplaces with data available in all of the leading platforms. On a high level, we are truly a technology-focused group, which is reflected in the fact that we have over 150 granted patents covering cornerstones of the targeted advertising market, which are licensed by some of the biggest advertising companies in our industry. Last but not least, we truly care about privacy. We're the people that invented and evangelized the enhanced notice, also known as the ad choices that you see in every banner on the top right side. Flo, can you please move to the next slide? And the next one, sorry. IntentIQ itself is powered by a next-gen identity device graph. What's unique about it, it has probabilistic scale with deterministic accuracy, and it's real time. Think most of the device graphs in the market take a truth set, they analyze it, and then they extrapolate it to the world, and they'll do it ever so often. Could be every few days, every week or two. IntentIQ has taken a different approach. We've been working on this problem for over a decade. It's a real-time graph that reflects the digital landscape at any given point in time. We like to say at IntentIQ that the only thing constant is actually change. The graph works across multiple environments, including cookieless, mailless, and CTV. And that's what enables us to do and offer all of those solutions. Today, you'll be hearing about our technology. You'll be hearing about our business model. You'll be hearing about what does it look like to work with us. You'll hear about the industry challenges that are being faced by all of you. To take it to the next level, I would like to pass the presentation to Dror, the CTO of IntentIQ, and the guy that's actually responsible for all of the magic.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Roy. So I'm gonna click for the next slide. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the current scenario in the ecosystem right now, talking about supply-demand life cycle in a cookieless inventory. So we have a diagram, so apologies for the gray, but it's kind of sad thing when most of your cookieless inventory are not fulfilled for best. So the ecosystem is that you guys as a publisher, whether you're an ad aggregator or a product monetization platform, you're facing a problem of not having IDs, not having buyer IDs when passing to your SSP. And then the cycle from the SSP to the DSP, as you can see here, result in sending those ad auction without ID. So it's not like the Chrome where you have those ID coming on the third-party cookie, at least for now. So what we are measuring right now when partner is joining or evaluating the service is a very clear evidence of cause and result. So missing IDs leading to a decrease in the share of spend. It leads to a lower win rate and obviously a CPM decrease. And I'm gonna just give you a pick for the next one, but just before that, let's have one pulse and then we'll continue. Can you show the next poll, please? Michael, Ryan? Okay, okay. So let's
Our
wait.
poll is online.
Yep. I'm not seeing it, so I'm just seeing the data coming in. So guys, we will wait.
Ryan.
Yep, we'll close the poll here in about 5 seconds.
Okay, okay.
Let's take a look at the results.
Yep. So we're actually asking about the ability to have email identity as part of your audience. And as we can see the numbers from 0 to 20, we see about 26 and 0 to 20.
Actually, Joe, I apologize. This question was about the iOS ratio out of your total.
iOS
ratio. How much? I apologize.
No problem. No problem. I don't see that. So. Okay, so iOS ratio average is pretty high as expected. So that's the scenario right now when you don't have cookies or you don't have any buyer ID in this ecosystem lifecycling of supply-demand lifecycle. Let's take a peek on how this ecosystem could look like. Okay, other than the nice colors, obviously, when IntentIQ or any identity provider in that case would know how to augment your inventory with your buyer IDs, it becomes a big difference. So one of the outcome of having those buyer ID obviously is having addressability to those anonymous traffic. So obviously increase in share of spend on those cookieless out of your 100% of your inventory. Fill rate increase significantly, hundreds of percents, CPM increase, and the total outcome would be obviously a revenue lift. And we're talking about numbers of over 1 billion ads per day. So everything that I'm showing here is based on real concrete data of what we're doing right now. Okay, so that was the problem, and this is how it could look when utilizing bid enhancement. Now let's talk a little bit about the technology behind that product. So a few words about our technology. IntentIQ bring accessibility, identity, addressability. Wow, it's a big phrase. Guys, IntentIQ is powered by its next generation identity graph, offering a suite of solution specifically designed for the demise of third-party cookie and MAID, which already occurred since iOS 14.5, which enables cross-app, cross-site, and cross-device targeting and attribution in a privacy-friendly fashion. So when we face that problem of multiple identity in the digital landscape, we come to realize that we are envisioning 4 levels of identity. So it's actually like in your real physical world. We have the household level, which is a representation of the digital house, your physical house in a digital manner. And every house in the graph has its own ID and all the information that we cluster and gather around that household. But most important, the next level, which we call it the person level, it's the individual level. So in every household, like in the real world, there is person living in those households, and for every person owning different devices. And today we're going to focus on a device level. But just before we're moving to the device and talking about what we're doing and how this problem reflects in the identity solution and in bid enhancement in particular, there is another level of identity. So we call that a level profile. When it comes to design that problem many years ago, we understood that the device may have different entities. So it could have different browser, it could have different in-app, and each one of them represent a profile. A profile could be a set of first-party IDs, a set of IDFVs being clustered together, but at the end, they're representing a separate entities under a device. Now, just a few numbers about the IntentIQ identity graph in general. We are mapping dynamically over 160 million households in North America, which represent for US and Canada, and additional geos coming in recently on Q2 this year would be APAC, and coming soon other regions in the world. Another important element of our graph, which we're really proud of, is the accuracy. As you know, many folks out there sharing their numbers, sharing their ability to cluster and match. The fact is, just few of us being able to measure accuracy, and IntentIQ of sharing the information of 92 to 97% accuracy measured deterministically. Not a true set, but actually 4 million different samples every 24 hours are being measured to make sure this graph is accurate. It's like an organism having different genes, and each one of them fix different problem as a living creature. So those are not a true set, those are deterministically measured. Okay, now switching, I think we've missed one pulse. Guys, can you hit me with the next pulse?
Absolutely, here it is for you.
Okay. Now the question is, we have a quite large number of companies here and different titles, some of them owning inventory, media, facing with user. We want to understand what would be the ratio of your audience that are willing to provide their email address to authenticate.
We'll close the poll here in a few seconds.
Okay.
And share the results.
Okay, guys, as you can see, numbers are really low in terms of basing our future solution on everyone to authenticate and everyone to log in. And this is a real problem that we're facing here. And it's not about just the ability of those person to rely on some different vendors and different platforms, but actually the scale. So let's talk about what we do versus this problem of lack of adoption in terms of your user to be being able to authenticate from every device each and every time. So IntentIQ is presenting to the world what we call first-party clustering technology. As you know, in the previous section of the devices and the graph and the identity and those layers, there was a device level. So I'm going to focus just on that one. As you know, a device as a browser can have different domains. Specifically on iOS, since ITP, the separation of every domain having their own different ID, creating a fragmentation and creating a big problem for collecting data or having an audience in your DMP at the end of the funnels. You are selling the inventory as persons, as related to addressability. And that problem of the fragmentation creates a real problem of having real sense of who you are in terms of which campaign. And IntentIQ knows to take those different IDs from different sites and cluster them and matching them across domain and across device onto a single universal. And again, measuring deterministically 24 hours. So we're being fed from online signal. We're being fed from a first-party data of hashed email, publisher network, billions of email open and email login, but still in a privacy-friendly way. And beneath that part, we have the ability of transporting this information through different channels, whether it's Freebid, whether it's S3 bucket or server to server. The common diameter for all of them is the ability to take from one first-party ID to a single universal ID, and from there to any billable currency. So it could be a hashed email, it could be your demands, buyer ID, and from there, the use case of that first-party clustering technology could be obviously leading to the SSP and then utilizing a higher and better revenue, because now the DMP has a correlation, and we're going to show you in a second another process of how this thing is done behind the scene, just in a nutshell. But that's the highlight of this diagram of first-party technology versus other technology relying on single sign-on or other different technologies. So this is a proven technology already powering 1 billion ads. Moving to the next one. Guys, I know I cannot hear you. I know everyone is intrigued and excited, so I'm going to give you some numbers. So cookieless inventory deprecation, IntentIQ is processing about 20 billion events every 24 hours and roughly 14 billion email open and login events every month, resulting in the below numbers. Mobile browser, 500 million. Desktop browser, 600 million. I want to stop here for a second. In many cases, I've been in those webinars and hearing about companies claiming that they have 3 billion cookies or 3 billion IDs on browser. The fact is that in the entire North America, there are around 340 million, including infant, adult, all of them. So the fact is that the numbers of actual IDs on browser are approximately 200 and 250 million. IntentIQ knows how to join them together, even those third-party cookies being deleted, and look at them at a single entity and not just saying counting billions of them. So deterministic layer of 403 million hashed email, 15 billion events, and the combination of 1.1 billion email, hashed email to device. So how does the bid enhancement actually works? That's going to be the interesting part, because what we're doing here is actually trying to get this amazing identity engine that works behind the scene, but try to get access where it needed in a very simple and easy to integrate. So this is, I don't know exactly what are your level of technical information in general, but it's kind of what we call sequence diagram. So the times goes from top to bottom, and the entity describes the different relationship between those entities. In the middle, we're seeing a person, that right blue person, having two devices. So one would be using a Chrome browser, and on the right side would be a Safari browser. So it's kind of showing how Bid Enhancement works in a nutshell. So it starts with the user seat. Today, most of your browser, it's funny, one time we talked with a publisher and said, I don't know what cookie ever did for us. So the scenario that now you don't know how much this industry is relying on those cookies, but for those of you who are new in that arena or topic of cookieless and cookies, those browsers are being synced constantly with the demands, creating a matching from the demands to their DSP at the end of the funnel. So cookie sync from that person on the Chrome goes to the SSP, and from the SSP, it gets back an ID. Now, moving to the right side, we see that Safari, which we know that because we just said previously, has no cookies, has no IDs. What happened behind the scene? So a user goes to the publisher site and search for some content. In that publisher, there are ad units in the page, either going through Prebid or AdX or Amazon TAM. They all have same purpose, to monetize and allow the open web to work. You see content for free, you get ads. What happens here is that IntentIQ is being involved here in that part of that cookieless inventory on that person, because an ad unit triggers the IntentIQ identity module that leads back to providing a previous Chrome ID of that SSP back to the publisher ad unit Prebid mechanism for that case, because we're focusing here on Prebid. And then a millisecond later, instead of getting from the bid request to the SSP with no IDs and having anonymous ID, we're having bid request with bid data, but with an SSP ID, the one formally synced on that person. So SSP is matching now their own ID against the DSP IDs, the ones that know to respond and act on them, and the ones that are ignoring them. As you know, EIDs are presented to the world, and the ability of having additional IDs in the bid stream, and later on whether they are responding or reacting on them depends on the DSP and depends on the SSP. In this case, we are seeing two DSP, DSP1, DSP2, and in general, right now, the biddable currency would be those buyer ID, but in the future, it could be any universal ID, could be the hashed email, it could be the IntentIQ ID, or any other currency. So assuming everyone understood that slide, I'm going to switch to the next one. So addressability revenue stream for publisher in iOS, Edge, and Firefox. Obviously, now that we know that relying on buyer ID to reflect DMP audience is the #1 cause for creating an impact. So without the identity, you have no buyer ID, no addressability, no data revenue, driven revenue. You cannot do frequency capping, you cannot do retargeting, and you're relying on contextual-based targeting going back to the 90s. With the IntentIQ identity, you're facilitating buyer ID on those cookieless inventory, allowing data-driven revenue stream onto your current inventory. New and additional ads could be delivered because now those are people instead of anonymous, and obviously targeted ads using advertiser data collected off sites of first party and third party. So ask yourself, why IntentIQ? Why should I pick IntentIQ? I could have different vendor. So IntentIQ providing missing partner DSP and SSP IDs in 40% of bid requests where you have no cookies. So we're actually acting on behalf of our partners. They have their own demands. We're acting as an identity engine for them to matching their own IDs. Increasing cookieless inventory revenue by 3x already today. So thinking on the future, Chrome walking the same way of Safari, not having third-party cookie, would be facing the same result. Just a few words about business model. This is a risk-free business model where IntentIQ rev share only from the new incremental revenue generated. So you are not paying for anything other than new incremental revenue being generated. Okay, it's somehow affecting my screen. Built on top of the best revenue generating identity graph, powering the delivery of 1 billion ads and growing today. Let's give a few words about scaling without hassle. IntentIQ acting as your identity IDs platform, identity management platform. IDs at scale from day one across all of your partners. So if you think about it, you could be having X amount of platform right now, but you could add any number of IDs regardless of the demand. So we're actually acting on behalf of our partner, so you can add into that engine any number of demands and having a single stop shop of all of your identity in a single place, but for cookieless. Okay, you know, there are solutions out there that are doing that management on Chrome, but now we're talking about cookieless. So to summarize, first-party ID clustering technology having probabilistic scale with deterministic accuracy, and first-party ID to any universal ID switchboard. That's the essence of that service of bid enhancement. It's not forcing you to use this ID or that ID or to gamble. You can have them all. You can decide that you want to be sharing ID A, B, and C, and tomorrow adding E and D and F and Z, etc., etc., etc. That's the beauty of it. I think we should have another pause right now, guys.
Our poll is online. We'll give everyone a few seconds here to answer.
Roy, can you remind me the polls? I cannot see the polls right now.
What is your pre-bid percentage out of the total ADEX, Amazon, and RTB?
Got it. Okay.
We'll close down this poll here and share the results.
Sounds great. Guys, the reason we're asking is because we're now supporting direct integration with different modules of pre-bid and allowing this integration to be done seamlessly and very easy using pre-bid. Down the road, there are other systems to be deployed early next year or in the middle of next year. And that's why we're letting you know. But from our experience right now, what we're seeing is a huge impact on guys running X portion of their inventory on pre-bid, but the other X of Amazon TAM, Google ADEX are being affected because what actually we're creating is an SPO, supply path optimization. If pre-bid is winning more, you have diversity in your income and resources of the money. But then ADEX, Amazon TAM, and the rest increasing their competition by increasing CPM and competing better. So it's a side effect. It's really easy to join. So we have what we call 14 days POC journey. starts with a technical review where a team of experts actually from the IntelliQ team will be analyzing your inventory and understanding your most valuable demands in terms of revenue, whether it's video, whether it's display, and the different types of integration. We are here to analyze and understand what will be the best solution. In most cases, it's a simple tag. IntelliQ test page validation would be the next phase, where you're gonna get a green light, thumbs up, saying you're good to go. And we're gonna go to the next phase of 100,000 impression. Once we see that 100,000 impression creating that lift, that expected lift in revenue, seeing amazing results from day one, we would wait another 24 to 48 hours and jump to the next phase of 1 million impression. Again, keeping the same metrics and health, increasing more sites, increasing more traffic, hitting the 15 million, and from there, you are good to go with 100% of your traffic, whether it's 100 million impression or 1 billion impression or even more. From that part, we're going to the contract, red line, some boring stuff about more red lines, legal stuff, and then a handshake of becoming a new customer and having that bid enhancement working for you on your cookieless inventory today. Okay, so just a little bit, I thought taking one of our samples here, those are real data. This is actually real data coming from the traffic that we're powering today. As you can see, the way we measure the service is constantly A/B testing, where our solution is being used for 95% of your traffic versus 5% not using us, but still measuring. As you can see, RPM of 0.68 $68 versus $1.66 RPM with the IntelliQ. This is amazing results. And on the right side, you're seeing a sneak of our dashboard showing you for every browser, per bidder, per placement, per site, what exactly the metrics are. So just to focus on the Safari, because we're talking here about Safari, we're seeing that the small pink red dot actually represent what your 5% group B is generating. And on the right side, that's the extrapolation of 100%. What if you're going to be running without the IntelliQ across 100% of the traffic? So in this case, this is real data. You're seeing $94,000 revenue extrapolated without the IntelliQ. On the left side of this chart, you are seeing 267K of revenue generated by running 95% with the IntelliQ. So this is 95%, okay? It's not the extrapolation, it's the actual data. From 95% of using the IntelliQ, that publisher, that partner was generating, it's almost 3x, but high enough, you can agree, right? Okay, so since we want to help you have the best integration, we have developed a Chrome extension helping you to analyze and monitoring everything that happens with our solution, understanding how to better improve every bid auction, every scenario within the page, understanding latency, concurrency, different bidder, different integrations. So we're actually helping you, giving you do-it-yourself approach, but we're there and we're working on a dedicated Slack channel and helping our partner to growth. And this extension actually provides the ability to perform integration analysis, giving the ability to visualize result and performance, deep analysis, and visuals, pre-bid events, and flow. Guys, thank you very much for watching and taking the time with us today, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions and a lot of issues and topic. Media Post guys, do you have any question coming in so far?
Yes. In fact, here we are. That was great. As I mentioned earlier, we have a few minutes now for some questions we'll get to in a minute. But I wanted to mention that even during the Q&A session, if you've got some questions, feel free to put them in the question box on the side panel. And a quick reminder that a recording of today's webinar will be sent to everybody by email, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, so here are some questions, Dror. This is from Nick. Can I use your identity solution alongside other pre-bid identity modules?
Got it. So Nick, the answer is simple yes. There is no other conflict or any concern of having other identity. Actually, we're encouraging you to keep the same stack of integration that you have right now with your current identity. Just adding the intent EQ will actually supplement and augment, but from our experience would be a much higher impact immediately. So the simple answer is yes, you can still using them.
Okay, and John wants to know, in case one of our current demand partners is not supported by Intent IQ, is there an option to add them?
Right. So John, as I mentioned earlier, and obviously I don't know who are your demands right now, we're actually acting on behalf of our partners and publisher. So if right now we're being offered a set of demands and you want to add those, I don't know, new SSPs or new demands, you can actually talk with your professional service, the Intent IQ professional service, adding them. There is kind of a process behind the scene of syncing your new demands, and then gradually we'll see in our dashboard the ramping up from 1%, 10%, 20%, eventually seeing them fulfill in your inventory and seeing the impact of those new demands. So the answer is yes, you can add that.
Okay, and here's a question from Miranda. Should I expect to have performance issues and auction latency as a result of using Intent IQ bid enhancement?
Not actually. In most cases, those are single-digit millisecond of interaction. Actually, this is very important for our products, so we obviously monitoring that, and that would, without going into the technical too much, you shouldn't expect any latency, but you do have the ability to set some threshold and decide what would be a sweet point of a timeout and fail-safe in case, I don't know, an overload, but in most cases, 99% would be not effective.
Okay, Roy, looks like you have some other questions here. Yeah.
Michael, I see there's several questions that are being repeated that I want to just answer that, if that's okay.
Sure, of course, absolutely, please do.
People are asking what will happen once Chrome deprecates third-party cookies, which IDs will be transferred? And actually, Dror mentioned that, and I just want to basically repeat what Dror was saying. The important part is that we have the underlying technology to connect the dots, that first-party ID clustering technology, that real-time graph. So for us to overlay that, hash email is, we will support whatever universal ID which is out there, but most importantly, the one which is already supported by everyone is hash email. And hash email is something that we already have in our graph, as mentioned by Dror. So hash email is one ID, and Intent EQ is another ID. Any ID that the industry is interested beyond that is very easy for us. It's literally plug and play. That's the answer. But I think that I see, looking at the clock, I see that we've basically reached our limit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to thank Dror for a wonderful job. And Michael, thank you so much. Is there anything, Mike, you would like to say on behalf of Media Post?
Sure. I want to mention to the audience that we're running out of time here. So if you asked a question that did not get answered, don't worry, because the folks at IntenIQ will receive all your questions and can respond to each of you directly afterwards. I'd also like to thank Roy and Dror again for a great presentation and the audience for some great questions. Thanks also to everybody behind the scenes at IntenIQ who helped to put all of this together. We hope that everybody found this information presented helpful and informative. Stay tuned to Media Post's website and digital publications in your inbox for more informative webinars that are going to come from other valuable Media Post partners in the weeks and months to come. Thanks so much to everybody for joining us today. We'll see you next time, and stay safe out there. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.